And welcome everyone to another edition of the New Jack Swing podcast. As you can see, there's two of the three of us here, myself and Stevie Street. I'm Sheldon. Will join us. How's it going, Stevie?
Good evening, sir. How you doing? I'm good. All good. In fact, I've been suffering from a bit of man flu over the weekend, but
Is there such a
sure I'll
thing?
survive.
Is there such a thing? Yeah, I do wonder: is it that the fact that we work so hard that when it does, when we do get it, it does. It just seems like it comes down much harder. So
I think the temperature change that we've experienced over the last week or so, from
yeah,
very warm to sunny, suddenly it's gone very
yeah,
rainy. But we can't complain as Europe is in the depth of a pretty bad heat wave, I do believe, at the moment.
yeah, and it is the same elsewhere.
And America, I must say, some parts of America.
Yes, but anyway, what we've got a pack show today. We were going to. I mean, I'm sure we'll start off with you just giving us some updates on anything music related news, but we were going to also go through our top 10 New Jack R&B song albums between 98 to 90, 88 to 92.
87.
87, okay, 87 to 92, 93.
Because if we
So,
don't, there's one big album won't be in your chart. Put it that way.
okay. So we're going to do that, and then also we do have a surprise. We do want to find out from you guys, and we're going to test ourselves as well. But Sheldon has joined us. But we were going to also find out if we were to create a super group, both male and female, which R&B, who would you put in that super group? So that will be towards the end. So Sheldon, you've joined us. So that was going to be, we're going to start off with Stevie. We're just talking about some news right now. We're going to go for our top 10 albums between 87 to 93, and we would this would be just out there for all of us if we're going to form a super group, either 3 or 4 piece group. Who would make it? Who would make your all-star super on your super group list? But anyway, as we start off, how's it going, Sheldon? Yeah.
Well, how you guys doing? Y'all all right?
Very good, sir.
Good, yes. Good.
Also, I want to thank Sheldon. I mean, Stevie mentioned about the interview with Charles Wright, and Sheldon actually did 90% of the interview. I was there as a guest listening in as well.
I need to watch it, but respect for that. Respect for getting Charles Wright on the channel. Huge piece of black music history, that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize the wealth of knowledge and background and experience that he went through. So it was really an honor to speak to him. Yes, but with that, Steve, we can start with you though. So what's anything new on the horizon that you want to?
I'd say 3 potential purchases of interest to any of the 90s New Jackers. Obviously, the Bobby Brown deluxe version of Don't Be Cruel, which, as you know, Sheldon, I believe it's been pulled from release, but there is still copies available on the likes of CD Universe and Amazon to buy, so to grab one very quickly before it goes.
What do you mean? So why do you think it's been pulled?
There was some issue on I was reading some comments on Facebook. Some of the tracks were pulled from the digital release that come out, digital only release that come out a few years ago. And I think there may be a discrepancy with that, but we'd have to talk to the guy who put it together, Donald Cleveland. He'd probably know more about it, because I don't want to give misinformation.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that would be interesting just to find out.
But you got 2 CDs there, all the remixes. There's even a mix on there that I didn't have, and I thought I had everything by Bobby Brown. So it's definitely worth getting. Yesterday there was a Gerald Levert 3 CD anthology box set released, and on that was a remix of I Want to Be Bad, which was only available as a 12-inch test pressing, and it was also available as like a B-side on a cassette single. But it is one of the best New Jack Swing remixes, probably never to be heard. It's an incredible mix. First time on CD. It's worth it just to get the I Want to Be Bad remix edit. And thirdly is the Janet Jackson album from 1993, Janet, which has been given a deluxe 2 CD edition. Okay. There's a bonus CD with remixes and a lot of the B-side tracks that came out on the CD singles at the time. She did a Jackson's cover as well on that, which didn't make the final album. So it's even worth it just for that Jackson's cover.
It's the One More Chance.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah,
she did a good version. I forgot all about that actually. So it's worth picking up from that. And then what was he was saying earlier, Nnamdi, about Aaron Hall? He's got a new Instagram page.
Yeah. So and I'll find what it is, but that was a very big surprise to me that I went on IG and saw that Aaron Hall has now got a new page. He is called. It's called, and I'll write it down here. But it's called Azzy. So if you're looking for Aaron Hall on Instagram, it is going to be. Let me look at it here. As DD, I don't even know. DD Hall.
I'm sure there'll be lots of pictures of dogs on there. You know.
Well, for right now, the pictures he has. I should fact. The pictures he has is just of himself. It's just of himself, yeah. So if any of you who are Aaron Hall fans, you can just go in, because right now he just has 66 followers. 66 followers. So as you can see, I think it's actually I've just realized.
Noticed, you know, artists from the 90s, when they go on Instagram, they kind of struggle. I noticed they do struggle to get to grips with it and get followers. And you know, I don't think they realize to get a lot of followers, they got to be putting out content pretty much daily, you know?
Yeah, but I also think that he just pretty much just got it set up just today.
Well, that's good. You know what I mean? That's good.
He just got it set up today. So I think it's just one of the things where it will. And actually, do you know how I found it? Because he liked one of my videos. He liked one of my videos, and I'm thinking, and I was like, who's this person who has this Aaron Hall stuff? So I'm actually going to show you his profile now. So just for you guys, if you're out there and you are thinking, okay, so this is his profile here, if you can see it.
Okay.
Yes. So this is the pictures he's posted. So he just posted a few pictures on the. There he is. He just put it there. You know, nothing much in that. Posted this one too. So that's all. He just posted a few of them like that. So he's just getting the grips of using it.
Great to see him.
Well, you know that might be a second one. You said this is Instagram.
Yeah, this is Instagram. It just came, and yeah, so this was just 2 days ago. He just set up the account. Just 2 days ago.
Okay, this must be a different one, man.
Yeah, this is
because
new.
He's got one already out because he's got the legendary Aaron Hall.
No, so I think he lost that. I think he lost that.
Okay.
That profile. So he just set this up 2 days ago, and he only follows 2 people: Snoop, Damien, and Teddy. So hopefully he will start following me, and also give us an opportunity to interview him as well.
We've got to shout
okay.
Jackie McGee. She did a little tribute to Keith Sweat. It's his birthday, I do believe, and she did a little
song on
IG wishing him happy birthday.
Yeah, he's 62. So I mean, he is. Wow. He's not a silver fox, but he still seems to be keeps on going and stuff. So that's his birthday. Also, today's birthday is Mr. Dalvin. he drops a new EP called let me see what I think it's called. I can't remember what it's called now, but he drops a new EP. It's not going to be on streaming services. It's called Famous.
Can we get his
EPs.
Bandcamp page up to show people? Is that possible?
Yeah. So because what I did is let me see if I can get onto it, because he is.
He's
and
not
I did
set it up either for people to actually listen to the tracks. You know, you can't actually, which is a shame. Maybe he's getting his head round Bandcamp, but it's important that he try, if he watches this back, try and let the listeners listen to the tracks, which will encourage him to buy the EP, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's always the thing when you are trying to do something new. Um, you know, people have to be. You know, he says this is for my true fans, but this is what he's done. He's used a site called Bandcamp where he's not going to put it on streaming service, so you're not going to be able to get his EP on streaming services. You can only get it here. You can buy the digital copy there, but he also has some merchandise that he's selling. Okay, did I just was yeah. So that's he's got five songs. Famous, check out my silly me, I like I do, raw, and he's got an is it me intro, and it's for $10. So he did say that and I'll show you his stuff. He did say that, look, this is going to be for my it's going to be for his true fans. Those who are his real fans are the ones who he expects to say, yeah, we're going to go support.
I'll get me $10 out later on in the week. Or is it about £8.50 or something UK?
Yeah, I did reach out to Dalvin I did reach out to him yesterday, but I didn't realize it was his birthday, and he got back to me, and because we were talking about trying to get him back on, but I didn't realize it's his birthday, and they're going on the block party tour with SWV and Dru Hill.
What is going on that as well? I didn't know that.
Jodeci are headlining their own tour called
right.
Block Party, and it's they've got SWV and Dru Hill. So it starts, I think, in 2 days this week or so, arena tour. So that's going to be. I think they've. I don't know if Devante Swing is going to be. Was that Sheldon?
No, I'm saying they also doing dates on own by themselves too. Dru Hill is.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Dru Hill. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they'll it'll be a mixture of because the dates that Jodeci are not going to do, they're just going to do their own thing and stuff. But it's definitely going to be it's definitely going to be fun. And then I think finally Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind and Fire. That's coming out October, November. Yeah. So yes. So that should be something really big to look out for.
What, they're touring together?
I think Babyface is going out again.
You said Babyface is going out again?
He's going out again. I forgot who he's going out with, but he's going out.
Okay.
Well, good for him. After the debacle of the
Anita Baker.
Yeah, of that, and being taken off the bill. Let's hope his fans come out on his solo gig then. I mean,
just talk briefly. I mean, I follow Anita Baker on Twitter, and it started off with their show in Philadelphia, which was delayed because historically that venue, the Prudential Center in Philly, has had. Is it Philly? I don't know if it's Philly. I can't remember what city it is. But it was the Prudential Center that has had technical sound issues for quite a while. There's been a lot of complaints. So the sound check didn't go well. They were having lots of issues trying to get the sound. So this is not the band. It was just the venue itself. I think they had a game and then they tried to convert it back. So it was issues. It took them they cut into the people were having to be lining up for an hour and a half. They didn't tell them what was happening. So that meant by the time they got in, they missed Babyface couldn't perform. They only had enough time before the curfew for Anita to perform. Ticketmaster made the decision to say, okay, we can only just get Anita to perform. We can't get Babyface. Now, of course, because of a perception Anita Baker has about being difficult, perception, Luther complained about her and others, it started to, the rumors were, Anita's just bounced Babyface off the bill. And unfortunately, when Babyface put out an announcement, he was saying he was asked to let Anita perform and he's not going to perform tonight. It gave the impression that Anita's people says, it gave the impression that Anita just didn't want him to perform, and so she's performing. So that was some of the misconception where people started to get a little like, oh, what's going on? So unfortunately, that's where it started, and then people started to attack Anita like, why? We paid to see Babyface. Where's our money? And then this thing started to grow, and instead of her being off social media, she started. I mean, she was personally replying to people, and I was like, "This is on," and she thought Babyface should get on social media and say, "Stop attacking Anita Baker," and when he didn't, because he's not really a social media person, she got upset and kicked him off. Very disappointing, but that's the that's unfortunately where we are with that. But anyway, other than that, we just hope for the best for them. But we can probably get into our albums. How hard was it for you, Stevie, to come up with 10 albums over a span of 5 to 6 years?
Well, I've got 20 here, so that's how hard it was.
Are you serious?
Very difficult. Very, very difficult indeed. I guess I had to base it on how can I play him from start to finish, and how much I actually listened to him back then and how much I still listen to him to this day. So, and there's a few curveballs in there. There's a few you'd be like, whoa, I wouldn't have expected that one. There's the obvious big ones, but there's quite a few in there that are like, oh, I'm sure we've all got, if we had to compile 20, there's a few in there that, there's a few curve. I hope there to be anyway. Are we actually going to name the full 10 this show?
Yeah, we can, because there is so much that we can be doing afterwards.
Do you want me to tell you a few that didn't make it?
Yeah, you sure can if you.
I'm looking. All right, what? Mint Condition's debut album didn't make it.
Wow.
And there was a comment here from Dre. Is it Burr Shane who said, "Who are your favourite R&B groups?" And he wanted us to choose 3. Well, you may hear them in this top 10, but Mint Condition would be one of them. Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison didn't make it.
Wow.
Boys to Men's debut album didn't make it.
What?
I know. Portrait, their debut album didn't make it. So there's After 7. What a great album that was. Tony, The Revival, brilliant album. Jeff Red, Quiet Storm, Ex-Girlfriend, debut album. And then there was a few curveballs. LaRue, Do It For Love. I don't know if any of you remember LaRue. I love that album from start to finish. The Girls album, probably because I got into that album after I only discovered it around 1996, so it was after. But again, great album. And then there's the Mind album, which I keep banging on about on this podcast that you've got to check out. So yeah, they're some of the ones that didn't make it anyway.
Okay.
And Keith Sweat's debut didn't make it.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay. No, I mean, mine wasn't as bad as that. But what we could possibly do actually is we can list out our 10 and just talk about it, and then go to each other and see. Anyone? I mean, and mine is not. I'm not going to do mine in particular order. I can go first, and whoever wants to go second, and then you guys can discuss about it. But
I can pretty much predict yours, I think.
And this is not any.
Sheldon, I'm hoping he's got a few surprises for me.
So let me list the ones that made my top 10.
Go on then.
The New Jack City album.
Is this starting at number 10?
No. I didn't want to go in any order. Yeah, I think that.
So the soundtracks. I didn't know
the soundtrack.
Yeah,
the soundtrack. I really loved the variety of it. The bangers. You know, introducing us to.
You're cheating there. We should have a top 10 soundtracks.
Yeah, we can always do that. Yeah, we can always do that. But this still made my top 10 albums of that time frame. The other one is House Party. It's
another soundtrack.
Yes, but it was an album. I mean, when I'm thinking about songs that have meanings and just the emotions it brings up. Actually, no, sorry. That didn't make it. Sorry, I crossed that out. That was one I didn't make.
You named two there. I wasn't expecting those, so you surprised me already.
No. So the New Jack, the New House Party didn't make it. In Vogue's Born to Sing.
Really?
I mean, it was something new because we hadn't had that type of doo-wop sort of female type of stuff since the 40s and the 50s. And so when they came out with their stuff and they could, it was different. That Born to Sing album.
It's a good mention. I mean, I need to revisit their albums. It felt a bit hit and miss to me, that album, but really good.
Yeah, I mean, and Fox and McCleary were really good. Peaceful Journey album was it's still being introduced to Casey and JoJo singing Peaceful Journey. I love the whole album, and it was one of the first CDs that I actually bought. So I
Heavy
still
D and the
remember.
Boys we're talking about here,
Heavy D and the Boys, Peaceful Journey. I also put in The Future, because it was one of the first CDs I bought, and I went through it, and I had the booklet, and I went through everything and the pictures, and it just meant a lot to me. Motown Philly, actually, I loved the it was from the first album, first single, that Motown Philly song, the debut album. Coolie High Harmony. I say Motown Philly, Coolie High Harmony.
Album.
Yeah, because it was the guys were different as well, because their own doo-wop type of stuff. So they almost became a male version of In Vogue. It felt like they were on that.
You know what? I keep seeing copies of that in charity thrift stores for like 50p or 50 cents in a minute, and I always buy one. I must have about 10 copies. Can't resist it. There's two different covers as well. There's the American version, which is where they're outside that building with when they're holding the canes.
Yeah.
Great album cover. And then there's the one that the UK issued with, they've all got caps on.
Is that the one that's red? I think that was they reissued that. Yeah, they reissued that with End of the Road.
So listen, anyone watching this, get in a thrift or a charity store. I guarantee Boys to Men, Coolie High Harmony will be in there. Very, very cheap.
Poison album, BBD. So I was surprised you didn't make it, because it was great album. Yeah, it was different. It was unique, and just it surprised us. How many have I made that? Yeah. So the Guy album. As I said, this is, I keep going through it, and I actually, strangely enough, I used to skip over the 2 tracks by Timmy, because I didn't know who he was. His voice was different, and so
don't let me say that.
I said I used to, but then later on I started to get more into those tracks by him, and knowing that Tammy Lucas was on that album, that's just an amazing stuff. The Bobby album, naturally. I mean, can you imagine me not putting the Bobby album in there?
I wonder why.
yeah. Don't Be Cruel album, actually. Yes. I've just been listening to it over and over again, and You know, one of the myths is that LA and Babyface did almost 90% of the album, but he only did, I think, 3 or 4 songs on it. I think 3.
Yeah, they did about 3 or 4 records. They did Roni,
Yeah.
Rock With You, Don't Be Cruel,
And Every Little Step.
Every Little Step. So
Yeah.
that's like 4. And then Larry White did like 2 or 3.
Yeah, then Teddy did 2.
Teddy did 2.
Yeah.
And them four tracks you just mentioned.
Yeah, those are heavy hitters. But those are heavy hitters. But that's just, you know, yeah. And what they did with Don't Be Cruel, that song itself, I mean, I actually preferred it to My Prerogative. I don't know why My Prerogative came that big, but I think Don't Be Cruel to me was just it. And I was in Nigeria when that came out, and it was just like, wow, he's singing, he's rapping, he's back talking. It was
Yeah.
You know, it was just an amazing album. And then, yeah, you know, the ultimate for me is always going to be Make It Last Forever. From start to finish, there's, you know, as Sheldon would point out, no sampling. It's just, you know, it was Teddy doing keyboards, drums, and just having fun. So those are my top 10. No particular order.
Do you know why I didn't include Keith Sweat's debut album in that top 10?
Why is that?
I think some of the tracks now, I think production-wise, have they stood the test of time? When I listen to, say, Don't Stop Your Love, which I love the track, but production, the sound of it's just a bit, it's hanging on. It's, you know, it's sounding a bit tired now, you know?
Yeah,
that's the only reason why.
That's the only track that Teddy didn't. He co-produced and played the instruments, but he's listed as a co-producer on that.
But believe it or not, the reason what it is that that's the record. That's the first record. That's the record I think that got keep his deal. So, and also when you're looking at that record, it's like it's kind of in the vein of like the R&B that's out right before. Because you know, one of the unique things about Make It Last Forever is that he's coming off the heels of, because he's had records in the past in the mid 80s, and you know, so it's kind of in the vein with that. So when you hear it, you hear the lyrics and there's the background vocals and whatnot. So it's kind of like in that vein. That's probably why it kind of like in a way it stands out. But if you also look at it, that's the last song on the album, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is the last song of the album.
Yeah, and that's probably maybe for a reason in terms of that. But yeah, that's the record that that got him in the door. That's what got him the deal.
Okay.
I think that's the record that he was working on first, and then he got with Teddy.
Okay. Okay. Who's next?
Sheldon, because I've spoken quite a bit. Let's see.
Okay. Sure. I'm gonna throw a curve in there real quick because obviously we kind of like talked about these albums. Okay, I'll go into it because what I did was I did 16. So I thought we were going to be talking about 20. I'm just going to go ahead and just real quick, just get my 5 out of the way real fast. And then there's a new 5 or whatever, you know, I'll make it quick. Obviously, you know, the Guy album, hearing that sonically, the songs, it was just like totally different. You know, hearing Groove Me and then the rhythms and Teddy's jam, it was just the whole, it was the sound that was very hypnotic. It was very new. Keith Sweat was Make It Last Forever, dope album. Album had a lot of longevity, a lot of legs to it. Where the I Wanna was kind of like that was new too, but when you're hearing I think the ballads made that album kind of like it gave it a longevity, so to speak, because it reminds me like of an Ozzy Brothers album. Ozzy Brothers used to have up tempos on one side and ballads on the second, and the ballads really kind of just extended their career. So I think the ballads made Keith Sweat's album, gave it that longevity. But man, the up tempos were dope, man. You know, I love how he started out. He didn't start off with the hit I Wanna. He started off with the first record, you know.
Something Just Ain't Right.
Yes, it just really it just got your attention, you know. And I was like, wow, you just sitting there, you're listening to the records. And then at that time, he's got solos in the records. He's got like he's taking a while before he jumps into the records, because all the other records that are coming, all the other R&B records that's coming later, they just jumping into it. So it's a build up. It's not looped like Nnamdi says. No samples. The beats are not looped up. They're played. So it's almost in the vein of what's out prior to before. Obviously Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel. I was the same way. When I heard Don't Be Cruel, I was just like, I couldn't believe it, because he's singing and he's rapping and he's going back and forth. And to me, that record, even though my prerogative is kind of considered the centerpiece, I think Don't Be Cruel has aged very well, the song itself. But I'm just thinking that my prerogative was the Don't Be Cruel was like in the vein of what Babyface and them were already doing. It was just a continuation of that. Everybody that they had done in '87, it was still in that type of vein. But when he did My Prerogative, I was obviously that was like that was the home run. But I love the fact that the album really didn't have a lot of filler, and they were smart the way they front loaded all of the Babyface, Teddy Riley records up front, and then of course the last records they did with Larry White. That was kind of smart, because Larry White worked with Bobby Brown on the first album, so it was kind of smart that they went ahead, they pulled the new and the old comrades together for an album. The other one, I'll Be Sure, in Effect Mode, I was just like hearing that one.
Yeah.
Great record. Just to me, that's like the first new, young ballad driven R&B album. And it was almost like, even though he had If I'm Not Your Lover, which was huge, especially when he got Slick Rick on the remix, that was like a curveball. I was like, wow. But it was a really, really dope record. So those are my 4, and then of course the 5 was the Bobby Brown album. But to be really quick, SWV, It's About Time. At the time when that came out, it was playing so much, I hated it, because it was just all over the place. I hated it. It was just too much, But then when I went ahead and I bought it, I couldn't believe how deep the album was in terms of having so many great records. You can just play that album over and over again. Babyface, Tender Lover.
Wow.
I enjoyed that as well. I love the fact that it was split fast, and then the ballads on the other side. And I think that was smart to do, because it seemed like it was a concession to the up-tempo records that were popular at the time. So I loved it. It's No Crime was really dope. Tender Lover was dope. I love the remix. He had Bobby Brown in the video. Bobby Brown was rhyming on it. Pretty cool. Another one is Basic Black. Basic Black to me was a dope album. Yes. Okay. Yes, it was for me, it was a holdover. For a lot of us, it was a holdover until the Guy record came out, because we were waiting and we didn't know what was going on. This is before social media. We don't know, what's going on with him and Teddy and Gene in the group and whatever. But when Basic Black came out, it was like, okay, it gave us what we needed, and the record was really, really, really good, man. I loved it. Dizzo's voice, the songs, very, very dope. And then of course, I'll go ahead and roll with a curve. Kool Moe Dee's Knowledge is King. Really tough record. I love what Teddy did for They Want Money. It's just a really, really dope track. The swing was hard. I still have the cassette and the instrumental. Oh, I used to play the instrumental a lot. The groove was super heavy. Today's album was really dope for me. I loved him. Him or Me. I bought the 12-inch singles. Just they were very, very strong on the up-tempo records. Some of the slow records were cool. Your Love Is Not True, but they really excelled on the heavy records. By the time the second one came around, the ballad game really upped. They upped the ballad game. But man, those songs were Girl, I Got My Eye on You, And when those songs spun off into 12-inch records, it just made me go back to the album even more. And then the last one, Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation.
Wow. Okay.
Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. It was I call it like industrial strength New Jack Swing. Because it was in the vein of that. You can tell what they were doing. It's like the drums were harder, the equipment was maybe different that they used, but I loved how they catered to the sound with the sampling. Like my favorite song on that entire album is Janet Jackson's "All Right." I love how they sampled, because at that time the James Brown, Lynn Collins record "Think" that Rob Bass used for "It Takes Two to Make Your Thing Go Right," that sample was really popular. So by the time they got to it, it was old, but it made it work. They made it work, man. So Rhythm Nation was it for me. And that's it.
That's a
And
very
then
solid,
honorable mention, Tony, the reunion.
very
Honorable
solid,
mention.
very solid selection.
Okay. I'm sure, Stevie, you're gonna come up with.
It seems like the pair of you chickened out from doing a rundown from 10 to 1.
Oh,
so I'll do a rundown then from 10 to 1, shall I?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Number 10, obviously, N Touch, the duo, 1989, All Night. Just what an electrifying duo. Eric McCain, Free. Now I know Free's on. He's on IG. I hope he watches this because we want to get him on the show, really. But yeah, I just love the album. And Keith Sweat was on the album. Jackie McGee was on the album.
Wow.
That's the first record, right? That's the one. 89. Yeah, 89. Okay.
They were known as Touch, weren't they? And then they changed to N Touch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just thought they had a different sound. It was more funkier, inspired by James Brown. But just a really good album. Number 9 is the one big curveball. Cool School debut album.
Ooh, my
on
God.
Capitol Records. There's only one ballad on it, and the rest of it was just pure pumping New Jack Swing all the way through. If you've not heard of Cool School, produced by Jesse Johnson, again, we need to find them guys. We need to have a chat with one of them. But they just disappeared after that. I think there was they called The Crash or something before that.
Yeah.
The Crash.
They crashed back in like 86 or something like that. Then they
What a crazy album that was. I mean, just there was 3 singles from it, but it just didn't seem to do that well. But I love it. Here we go with Keith Sweat. I'll give all my love to you at number 8. The reason why I chose this over the debut, I just thought the swing beat tracks were better. They were more refined,
Is this one I had Make You Sweat?
Yeah, Make You Sweat.
Make You Sweat. Yeah,
Your Love.
Your Love.
I just like
I was mad when that came out because I was like, man, where's Teddy?
Same thing. That's why I don't like the album. That's why I don't like the
Where's Teddy? But he mixed one of those records, I think, and then he did Your Love
Part 2.
The remix was dope, though. I bought the remix, and the remix that he did, the one Your Love, is really dope.
Yeah, and then the ballads as well, which you'd expect on a Keith Sweat album. The ballads are just. Jackie McGee posted. Was it not Jackie McGee? Steve. Who's the guy at Troop? Steve. What's his name? Steve Russell.
Yeah,
Russell.
He posted. It reminded me cheating, and I forgot that he kind of wrote that. Was one of the writers on that track.
Okay, I knew you were cheating.
When I listened to it again, I thought it just reminded how it used to kill me, that track, when I listened to it. Number 7, I'll Be Sure, the debut in Effect Mode.
Okay.
We've talked about it enough on here.
Well, you can't really talk about it enough.
The only track on the album that I'm a bit is Who This Love Is So. I was always a bit. Yeah. But the rest of it, love it. I love it. Number 6, this album just took me on a journey, and there was even in the second half of the album, they wrote a storyline through the ballads. I think there was some cheating going on, but the album was called Deeper, and it's by Troop. It's there. It was just an epic listen, that album, from the swing tracks, then into the mid tempos, then into them ballads. If you've not heard Troop Deeper albums, again from start to finish. Number 5, no one's mentioned this yet. I can't believe you two didn't mention this one. Jodeci, Forever My Lady.
Yeah.
Do you know things that you leave out? And you're like, how could you? But
The thing is that because it's an album of two halves.
That's what I liked about the swing era. You got your up tempos one
Yeah.
side,
And
ballads on the other.
in Nigeria, the slow tracks weren't popular, so I didn't even know they were the same guys. So all the my phone doesn't ring anymore. That was massive. So I didn't realize that they're the same because when I was in Nigeria, that was what we were listening to, and I came over that same year, and people were listening to my For My Lady. I'm thinking, what's this?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, when that record came out, it was like, okay, God of Love came out.
Yeah,
I remember the video. They had the
big,
yellow
man.
raincoats and all of that, and it was just like, wow, who are these guys? And then it was like, once that went away, they turned the ballads on because it really God of Love was kind of minor.
I would say that the killer swing track on the album, it's all right. That it wasn't. It got a lot of plays in the UK.
Yeah, that's really.
If you're
dope.
a hardcore swing fanatic, you know that track is like that's the one.
Which one?
It's all right.
It's so yeah. The whole, as I said, those swing tracks were big in Nigeria, and
In
I
fact,
didn't realize
possibly one of the greatest swing tracks of all time. That's how good it is, but it just doesn't get the props it deserves. That track.
You know why? Because man, those ballads were so big. Because in America, that's all they played, man. It's like anybody who had that, even on the radio videos or whatever, everything was like they turned into a ballad group, man, and they just stayed in that vein.
Yeah, that track. Oh my god, the times.
Ooh. Which one?
Times We Share.
Yeah, the times we've last together. Yeah, as I said, when I interviewed Dalvin, I didn't realize. I wish I'd listened to the album before the interview because I didn't think they were the same people. Because they I couldn't associate the two, but because the ballads were so strong.
Do you know what my favorite ballad is on the album? Is You and I. It's not the obvious.
You know what? I'm with you because it's like You and I is really dope. Probably because I've heard all the other ones so much.
Yeah.
But You and I, yeah, that one's really, really dope.
It's
really,
where
really
it's
dope.
near. It's the way it builds and builds, and near the end, it just goes into a crescendo, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
great track. All right, number 4, Basic Black. Again, for me, that's a true New Jack Swing album. You know, it's just a true. They knew the sound. They knew the sound. Again, we've discussed it so many times, but that is a true New Jack from start to finish.
There's no filler on that album. No filler. Every record is super dope, man.
The biggest crime of all time was they didn't do a second one around that time. I mean,
that would have been dope.
2 years later. Number 3, Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel, had to make it. And here's one again. I'm surprised you didn't put this one in. Number 2, New Edition, and Any Heartbreak.
Yeah, it made my top 15, but I couldn't.
Which I'll be fair, some of that album production wise, it does sound a bit ropey now, but it's just I don't know. It's just as a teenager growing up, you've grown up with that album, as they say, Boys to Men, you know. And number 1, obviously, it's obvious choice is Guy, the debut album, which we've discussed a million times on this podcast. Anyway, don't think we can. Get any more accolades than it deserves, man. You know.
They hear that record, it was just like, man, you know. And I bought it in different formats, man, over the years. And I remember buying an album, the album itself, right around close around Christmas time, and I had the album. And this older cat, he said, "What did you buy?" And I showed him the album. It was like, "Guy," I said, "Yeah, it's 3 guys on there," you know. And but man, you talking about. That album was just so potent, man. You know, it's just. I remember reading something how Heavy D said he had drove to New York to Virginia, and the only he had the cassette in his car, and that's what he played all the way from New York to Virginia, man. Dope album, man.
Well, you know? I just feel that the effect that album had on me is that I feel like every album that I bought, it's like I'm trying to buy an album that matches that feel, you know, as good. And I'm always, it never quite does. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And that's a good way of putting it, because I was the same way. I was like, okay, let me hear a couple of records, or I had people, they would buy the stuff and I would measure it against the Guy album. And then if I couldn't really measure them and say, okay, I like this, I wouldn't buy it, man. I mean, that's how the impact, like you said, the album is so strong. And I know I left out the Future though, but it was like, and I was excited when the Future came out. Great songs on there. But the first one was super dope, man. It was just
Yeah, I mean, the Future was twice the songs,
yeah.
but it's I think this is where you can understand the influence Timmy had on Guy when you listen to both albums, and and sometimes when you listen to Teddy's production when he has, say, Dave Way, or when he's working with Bernard Bell, there is a different type of direction he takes his production when he has somebody like Timmy who did the writing, or and so when he's so that's so I mean the reason why sentimental values is why I put the Future album. Um, when if I had to pick between the music compared to, say, the Jodeci album, Make It Last Forever My Lady, that from the swing tracks to the ballads, even though they said they wanted to be like Guy, they went specifically just to do the Guy thing, and they failed commercially in America. And if they didn't do the ballads, they would have been dropped. And we're grateful for that.
The Future to me is one of the most diverse New Jack Swing albums. When you have the R&B and the up tempos and the ballads, and it was it was exciting to hear. I remember the time when it dropped, New Year's Eve, and I'm riding around in the car, man, with a lot of my guys, man, and that's the only thing we got rolling. It's just that it's just dope. But then when you're young, you're kind of like, okay, but then as you get older, you can kind of see the difference.
Yeah.
But between them, and I just think that there's a lot you bringing in other contributors to the album, and it's almost like, okay, that void where Timmy's not there anymore. So you're bringing in Rex and Effect, Akil's doing writing on the album. So it kind of shows you when you've got a winning formula, and when you remove a piece of that winning formula, you can see there's a major difference. But again, I think also people don't realize, even though the Future sold like 1 million copies, they had like 5 singles there, man, that came off that record. That album came out in like 6 October. that album rolled from October 90 to around 92, even though they had broke up. Man, they were on Let's Stay Together, man. So it was a lot of singles coming off that record. But I think that when it dropped in the middle. It was almost like what we talked about before, the three of us, how when Guy records, the Bobby Brown records came out, they kind of like everything that came out before it. It whatever was out, that momentum was not there anymore, and this is the new sound. And I think that when you look at Boyz II Men, and you look at Jodeci, they're coming out at the tail end. They're coming out like maybe 5 or 6 months, after the Future, and at that point, the Future's kind of like lost. The records are there, but it's almost like now the attention is shifting. Don't get me wrong. The Guy was dropping dope videos, the remixes on those records, but it seemed like everybody I knew, the focus was on Jodeci and Boyz II Men. I don't know if it was just the ballads or it was just they were just focused on that energy.
Well, I think, I mean, just as we wrap up, I mean, Jodeci and everyone else went after, they copied the Guy album, because that was the sound. Goodbye Love and Peace of My Love. That was what the thing about the ballads of Jodeci. That was going back to the church and the keys and everything. Teddy kind of went away with that when he did. Even when Keith Sweat's I Make You Sweat, that was from the Guy. Timmy going back to the Guy album. And that had that sort of that was, you could hear Aaron singing that track, Make You Sweat.
But I think what it is too, and you all kind of brought this up, as far as Timmy's role in it. Timmy's role as a songwriter, because Teddy's forte is maybe you're doing the hooks and you're doing the music, but it shows you the Timmy Gatlin songwriting strength. Because think about it, when you listen to like her, I Want to Get With You, you know, they're very rap driven. Dope records, very, very rap driven. But you're starting to see now more of that versus the R&B. And it's like a hybrid. Same with Dog Me Out. It's almost like a rap R&B hybrid. And the R&B heaviness or whatever is kind of like gone. But also too, he has a bigger budget now because you know he does the deal with MCA. So then you know, and you got a bigger budget. So now you're able to kind of do a lot more. But I give him a lot of credit, man. Is that you're doing that, and on the heels of that, you're doing Michael Jackson, and you know you're just doing a lot of work at that time. But I think also the lastly is that people are now copying their sound. So he's probably making a conscious effort to just do something, to throw a curveball and do something totally different because they're jumping on that sound, man. That when he comes out in 88, you know, 89 going into 90, everybody's jumping on that sound.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, we've. It's been one of the things that we've been saying continuously about the two, and you know, I'm sure when we talk to Mucho tomorrow, we can get his insider's perspective. You know, because they were there from the beginning, and to see what their thoughts are. The other thing that we had to go by, and I'm going to put it out there now, is if you were to put supergroup together, either 3 or 4 people, you know, separate male and separate females, who would make the group? Who would you have in your super group? You know, and you can decide to pick you know, so there's 2 sets. So, you know, in fairness, you know, I can pick female, then somebody else can pick their male, and then at least we can take it in turns.
Okay,
Anyone brave enough to start?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
If I had to pick a super group,
a male one or female one? You want to
it'd
start?
be male. It'd be male.
Okay.
It'd be male. It would be Aaron Hall. It would be Big Bub.
Okay.
And it would be Bernard Bell. And the reason why I say that,
Bernard Bell. Okay.
So it would be those 3 as a super group because when you listening to them, they're doing all the backgrounds. Of course, Bobby's singing on it as well too, on My Prerogative. And one of the things I loved about that record was the backgrounds. Even though they're just singing the line, they're singing the chorus or whatever. But I would love to, you know, to hear them do other music. And I love the richness of their harmonies. You know, I just love you know, they all have, you know, they have the tone, even though Bernard Bell has, I mean, like a tenor type situation going on. But hearing them sing just gave me goosebumps, man. It gave me goosebumps just listening to them, even though they're kind of like deep into the mix, but it's just like a richness. And when they're singing that chorus that they're singing on My Prerogative, now everybody's singing kind of in that kind of way. All the New Jack, I don't want to call them New Jack knockoffs, but all the records that are coming out, some of those records, they're singing in that same key. They're singing in that same range, you know, as far as people doing hooks and whatnot. So if that was my group, that would be those 3. Would be Bernard Bell, Aaron Hall, and Big Bub. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I see. Do you want to go? Do you want me to go?
I'll give you a female group.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it'll work, but
But
it's probably based on some of the singers that I had a major crush on back then.
Okay, you're going back for looks.
I'm going to pick Miss Angie. I'm going to pull her out again.
Wow.
I'm going to put her in a group. I'm going to put her in a group with Jodie Watley, who I had a major crush on. And here's a name for you. She was a member of the group LaRue. Her name was Bobby Saunders.
Okay.
I'm going to throw her in. She had a lovely voice. She looked amazing. Oh, my gosh. Second album on the album, I was just crushing on her so bad. And the fourth member of the group who never got the limelight, and we all still talk about her, and she deserves the limelight, Tammy Lucas.
Yes, yes.
Now, I don't know if that group would work, but hey, why not, eh? Let's have a go.
Okay. That's like my female group too. I've got Tammy Lucas and I've got Coco from SWV.
Mm-hmm.
I would say both of them, and maybe putting somebody else in I can't think of for like harmony, but I would the tone of their voice. I think that it's like Tammy Lucas's voice is just so cool. It's so soothing. It's jazzy. You know, it's her tone, everything. She just has it. Also, she can do syncopated stuff. It's just that she does it. She can sing without overpowering you with the melisma, the big gospel vocal. And I think it's like the yin and yang between her and Coco. But I think Coco has like a higher pitch, but to see them together trade off of each other, singing songs or whatever, that would be to me a dope duo, you know.
You want to go duo? Okay.
Well, you know, still a group though. Still a group. I can't think of who I could put in there in the middle. I don't know. Every Tammy's got a sister. I don't know. You know?
Yeah. So one of my all-time favorite female singers is Tamia. I love her voice. Love her. She's she just has such a unique voice. So I would put her alongside Dawn Robinson. I just love the energy that Dawn brings. Coco has a very distinct voice, and then rounding up with Tammy, who can help. Just she's Tammy with her background. She's on everything, and just having her in that to me, because this is what I asked Coco. I said the difference between you guys in the 90s and 80s is that I could listen to a song and I could say, oh, that's Coco, that's Tamir, that's Dawn. I can't listen to music today and tell you who's who.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we're missing. R. Kelly and MGG. Okay, MGM. Would you have thought about putting them in your supergroup?
That's funny because MGM, that's be one of the name of his early groups.
Yeah, that was.
Well, here's the thing. Just for a bit of fun, bit of controversy, even. Let's pick three guys who would cause the most trouble in a group.
Hey man, you know what? You might have to pass on that because you might not get no more interviews, man.
Come on, guys, come on. Let's give it a bit of control. I'm thinking Aaron Hall.
Okay.
R. Kelly in the same group, and I'm thinking Bobby Brown. I think they cause an absolute riot in the group.
You know what? That's kind of yeah. Because when you look at that, R. Kelly would probably be the one. Hold on. Old School Flavor says you can hit a difference between Tammy Lucas and Coco on Black Streets Tonight. Good call, Old School Flavor. Yeah, and it would be crazy because R. Kelly would be probably the control freak, wanting to write and produce everything. Who's singing lead?
It'd be a huge ego clash, wouldn't there, between R. Kelly and Aaron Hall?
You would need a good, for groups like that, even with Coco and Tammy Lucas, you need a good producer for a lot of those. I just don't want to hear them just to sing. Like, I want to hear like great songs. So you would have to have a great producer who would be able to work with them very well. But again, like you said, great pairing. Tamia, I think probably I would have to drop her in the mix between Tammy because they both have those nice tones. Because you need a third voice for the harmony. And if they did an album, they would, when they sang lead, they would bring a totally different vibe to each song. But I'm gonna tell you, man, what you said, Stevie, you have Aaron and you got Bobby and you got R. Kelly. It would dope though. It would be a potent album. But again, I always think about who would produce these guys. Who would produce them? That would be crazy, you know. But yeah, that's one.
I mean, my male group would be it would be Diesel, it would be Aaron Hall, just because and Big Bob. Those it's just
Amazing. That'd be amazing.
those would be me, Aaron,
I
Diesel,
forgot
and
about
Big Bob.
them. I forgot them. They have
Yeah,
those churchy
and
vocals. Yeah.
they were actually in a group together.
Yeah, they got
Who's
those big voices. Yeah.
Mucho said it, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. But Mucho mentioned that they were that Aaron and Diesel were in the same church back in the day, and and you know Bob's been on everything from Do the Right Thing to Prerogative to everything, and he's just like a ninja in all of those. But as Stevie,
that reminds me.
Yeah.
You just sort of creeped in Redhead Kingpin there, didn't you?
Yes.
I was doing a bit.
Oh man, that's a dope record.
I'm thinking about. I did find an interview with Redhead Kingpin on YouTube. It's only short. He was in some European country on tour, and I think he was very high. He was sat on this couch, and they were talking to him, and he was just coming out with all these. It was just all over the place. It was only about 10 minutes long, but again, I'm just trying to find Redhead Kingpin. We don't know where he is.
Yeah,
not on social media, but yeah, I did find some footage because there just isn't much footage, is there? Apart from the videos of him, that's it really that's left.
I mean, Spec tried to. Who did he try? No, he tried to get me in touch with Zan, but Zan, I still haven't got in touch with him. Mucho does know him, so tomorrow please remember, because Mucho knows all these guys, and it'll be interesting to get him to see if he can. If he can put up a word for us and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think it's to me, yeah, I always think that Bob just doesn't get the break when he did his solo stuff. He just has a way of telling stories with his vocals. And you just need the right producer, the right label, and luck sometimes to really break through.
I'm gonna tell you, man, those songs on that first Bob album, very good. I mean, my favorite. I mean, when I listen to a lot of the songs that on there, they're all like in the vein of the Teddy production, where he's taking like old records, old melodies of records, and he's Bob is singing to them. So they're like reinterpolations. Like I can't think one. I forgot the name of the record, but what it is that it's a lot of those records, man. They're almost like how Another Level was, and the first Blackstreet album. He's singing to songs that are like they were already recorded before, not by Teddy, but by other people. They weren't necessarily samples, but they're interpolations. But I'm gonna tell you, man, my favorite song on that Bob album is the first single called "Everybody," and it was written. Teddy's in there, and the guy Leon Silvers. He's the one that did the track on the Blackstreet album.
Are you talking about his Timeless album?
Yes, yes, Timeless album.
Okay, yeah.
And when you listen to that record, go back and listen to it, and it sounds like you can tell you hear Leon Silver's production. It's a New Jack Swing record, so to speak. But it's also, you can hear the Solar records that Leon Silvers used to do with Shalimar. You hear that same vibe, and the background vocals, whoever's singing in the background sounds like Jody Watley, even though it's not. But yeah, Everybody is my favorite record on that album.
No, mine was
Big Bob. And then Zoom was dope.
Yeah, but I love Settle Down. Can we? My Love. Oh, is it My Way? Yeah,
My Way.
I love My Way. Let's take it right back to the beginning. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that's dope.
I put it out there. I said, Bob, this was just, it was such an amazing. Sprague was talking about the competitiveness between everyone working on that album. It's just that I don't know what happened. They shouldn't. They came out with that fast track with Queen Latifah and Heavy D. I Want Your Love. I Want Your Love, and and I said, Joe and everyone were coming out with ballads. They should have, and Bob is a balladeer, and they should have just started with the ballads and then just let it build up. Because ballads take time and they blow up. But that I love you, or want your love, and I don't know. It's just me personally. I just thought they should have started with the ballads and just kept with the ballads. And the issue with Zoom was that it was a remake, and they had some better original tracks on the album that I think should have.
Zoom to me was the album's anchor. I mean, he had some great ballads on there, but when he did Zoom, that really resonated with a lot of people. And Bob, I'm gonna tell you, I would love to hear him do an album full of remakes. There's a pop singer back in the 80s. His name is Christopher Cross, and he had a record called Sailing, and Bob remade that. Yes, Bob remade that record, man, and it's really, really. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I would love to hear Bob do, because he has a richness. He has a richness to his tone, to where when he's singing songs, he has the gospel situation, but he's not all over the place with it. He kind of sticks to the song. The riffs are there, but he can deliver a song like nobody, man. I love listening to him sing. Yeah. He's very good with the ballads. Up tempo's really smooth. Mr. Mikosana, I like his style. I love that. How he starts off. He starts to kind of like, before he starts to go into the record, loving you. I don't want to do right, and then he just kicks off with the record.
And that features Tammy Lucas.
Tammy Lucas in the background. I'm trying to tell you. You know what? I would love to hear them. We're talking about groups. I would love to see him and Tammy Lucas do a duet album. That would be crazy, man.
I mean, Stevie, what would be your favorite Tammy Lucas feature track that she's been on?
Oh gosh. Maybe another episode.
Okay.
For me, it would be Tonight's the Night.
Okay.
Tonight's the Night would be the one, and then right behind that, Is It Good to You? I think that would be right behind it. But Tonight's the Night, it's a very sexy delivery. Voice is very shimmery. And Teddy samples Kool and the Gang Summer Madness. So her voice sounds really good over that record, man. It's just, that would be it. Yeah.
I think my top three would be Goodbye Love. I mean, she said her vocals were supposed to be, she was supposed to be louder, but they turned her down, which was a pity. But that
was a mistake.
Yeah, it was supposed to be much louder, but they turned her down. Right Way and a Wrong Way. There's a right and a wrong way. That's her sitting with
Keith. She's singing on that too?
She's the one singing with Keith. That's her singing with Keith. And then my favorite guy's song is from the Future album is Let's Stay Together. And that's her Let's Stay Together. That's her, the background.
Yes, you know what? It's like, even though these are not duets that she's doing, her vocals make those records really win. You're right, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Then Let's Stay Together, and then the Goodbye Love. And when people sample that Goodbye Love, they always sample her vocals.
Yeah. Mariah did his stuff. Yeah, I mean,
they always sample her vocals in the back or whatever. So yeah, to me, she's like the vocal linchpin of that whole GR Productions, New Jack Swing production situation, and it's just a tragedy. She didn't do an album, man.
Yeah, well,
that came out.
That came out. Yeah, I mean, my biggest, I won't say biggest regret. I mean, we still keep in touch, but I was, of all the interviews I've done, that's the only one that I was so starstruck that I didn't remember to ask her anything really. I mean, it was 2 hours, but I was there pinching myself, thinking, "Is this really Tammy Lucas in front of me?" Because I'd never really seen her before, other than two videos. Actually, two videos.
Yeah.
The Once Again with Tribe, and Is It Good to You that she did with Teddy, and that's the only image I'd seen of her. And so, to her sitting in front of me on her birthday, that was, as I said, the only time I was starstruck. I've been starstruck. But anyway,
if there's one word I could describe for her vocals, charisma.
Yeah.
Very charismatic delivery. It's very understated, but still can be upfront, very charismatic. And that says a lot because everyone, they sing loud, there's the riffing and all of that. But for somebody to come in and sing background on those records, and then they're not singing a co-lead, but they're singing background, that's to me, that's ear candy. And that's how they used to make records many years before the New Jack Swing situation was coming in. You had really, really stellar background singers. So if I can say it, it's charisma, ear candy,
So tomorrow we do have Mucho, and guys, get your questions in from Basic Black, from 911, from his production. I'm hoping that we, because Mucho has been known in the past to no hold bars when it comes to talking about all things. So I'm hoping that we can. He doesn't cost me interviews by so we won't lead him on a dark road, but we just focus on some of the successes and some of the fun things, and what he's up to now, because I know he's been working behind the scenes on some projects. So it'll be interesting to be able to bring that up and talk to him and stuff. But just as we wrap up, any final words, Stevie, and then Sheldon?
No, that's
that was great.
Good episode, that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And we appreciate everyone with questions and stuff. And definitely hope you would join us tomorrow when we will be interviewing Walter Mucho Scott. Maybe most of you might not realize that he actually did most of the production on the My Love remix for Mary J. He did a lot of the vocals on that.
Yeah, I thought Teddy did that, man. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was my, yeah. Because I just listened to, so it'll be interesting. We will talk about a lot of stuff, but he as I said, he always gives Teddy the utmost respect as a legendary producer and production stuff. And so, but, and then, it was a lot to talk about tomorrow. So I hope you guys would join us tomorrow. It's been great, Stevie and Sheldon. I know that it will be good to be able to, as we go along, as we get more comfortable, we may start to go rogue and see how that takes us. But for now, we'll keep it diplomatic and fun and stuff. But anyway, join us tomorrow, guys. We'll start at 5 Eastern, 10 o'clock UK time. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care.